What's happening, gang? You are back live, and this is The Secret Stash. I'm your host, Jesse Ibanez, co-founder of the Greenhouse Group. We're helping folks get into and out of homes right here in the heart of San Diego, moving people with purpose. And in the Stash live today, we're flanked by local legend, real estate coach, owner of By Referral Only for the last 30 years, helping countless thousands of agents build a business by referral only. And you can catch him, by the way, at byreferralonly.com. Joe Stumpf, my man, we're going through right now all of these great books you got here in the studio today. And we already hit on becoming referable, which was a core competence one. Like, if you really want to have a business that's by referral only, you have to be referable first. You have to be somebody is trustworthy and someone who's willing to introduce you to the folks that they actually care about, you know, friends, family, coworkers, and neighbors. And that might have, you said, set the stage a little bit. Now we're kind of getting into the weeds a little bit. You actually have your second book, The 37 Exact Ways to Ask. And right before the break, I asked you to go into the hot seat and pull out one with your thumb. And you came across one that I think has a lot of applicability in all arenas, not just real estate. And that is, where is the highest likelihood for your next referral to come from?
Well, the person who is most likely to refer someone to you is a person who has already referred someone to you. And it's under-optimized opportunity in most people's businesses that they think, oh, yeah, they refer people to me. But the person who has referred someone to you is 50% more likely to refer a second and a third and a fourth person to you.
Why do you think that is?
Because of the dopamine that they received when they got that call back and said, hey, thanks for referring Joe to me. You know, when people have a good experience and the person gets acknowledged for the referral that they sent, it encourages people to want to do more of that.
So would you say it's one part sort of who they are and maybe the second part the experience they have of actually introducing you in the first place?
Well, if I was to call you up, Jesse, and just say to you something along the way, and so I say, hey, Jesse, you could even use my name on this. You could say, hey, Jess, a guy named Joe Stumpf who owns a company called By Referral Only, who specializes in helping people build referral-based businesses, has this little-known fact that he's discovered. And that fact is that a person who has introduced a person to another business or provider of services, and that person has a great experience, there's a 50% chance that that person will refer another person to them within the next 30 to 60 days.
So this is actually like what you would be saying.
I would say dialogue. Yeah, I'd actually be saying to you, and I would say, now, Jess, I referred you to Bob about a month ago, and he told me that you had a great experience. So I was just checking to see if Joe's stats were right. Yeah. Which is there's a subtlety in that, right, which it invites this investigation into the statistics, but also a little bit of humor to it. Yeah. Another thing that I'd like to say is, and you can quote me on this, is that the population is divided into three segments. Okay. You know, the 15% of the people, no matter what you do or what you say, how great you are, will never tell anybody about you.
Oh, okay. So those are like the angry negative Nancys.
Yeah, they just don't have the capacity to say a kind word about anybody to anything, and they're just not going to do it. Then 15% of the population, all they do is go out and advocate. All they do is go out and tell everybody. So these are the Pollyannas. Yeah, and you got to be careful. Sometimes you're like, well, I really, she's so good, but I don't really want her to be such a big advocate for me. Okay. And then 70% of the population has to be encouraged, has to be asked in an intelligent, articulate way. And
they probably already has to have experienced what your service is, right?
Well, so for example, if I was to say to you, let's say we're at a dinner table, and I would just say to everybody, hey, you guys, I heard this statistic that 15% of the people will never introduce me to anybody. 15% of the people will introduce me to everybody because that's what they do. But 70% of the people need to be encouraged and asked. I'm just curious, could I find out which groups you guys belong to? Are you never, always, or you just need to be encouraged? And what I'm suggesting is all you want to do is open conversation to what does it take for people to want to be an encourager and an advocate for your business. So that's a way to start to build into relationship. And so that's what this book is about. This book is about 37 different ways to open dialogue, to plant referral seeds, to ask for referrals in intelligent, articulate ways. Okay. So
let's do it again. Let's do a hot seat.
Okay.
Hot seat again. What's the next one?
Okay. great one. This is number 10. Use the secret persuasion patterns to make it easy for people to introduce you to people that they know.
The secret persuasion patterns.
Yeah, there's 7 secret persuasion patterns. Or I've actually 4 persuasion patterns, and I'll just share a couple of them with you right here.
Okay.
So, Jesse, listen to this. I'm going to say, would you be comfortable telling your friends or family members about the services that I provide?
Got it.
Okay. Jesse, would you feel comfortable telling a friend or a family member about what I've done for you? So the persuasion pattern is would you feel comfortable? Now, I'm not asking you for a referral. I'm asking you, would you feel comfortable? The answer is yes or no. But when you ask the question, what you'll get is, yeah, I think my mom's thinking about moving. My brother's thinking about moving, because it bypasses the critical part of the brain that I'm not asking for a referral because I'm answering that question already. Yeah, I'd be comfortable. This is who I would refer to you. So a good suggestion for everybody that when you want to ask for a referral, you might ask for comfort first. Hey, let's say that you're my handyman. Say, hey, Joe, next time you're in a conversation with a friend that could use some extra help around the house, would you feel comfortable introducing me to them? And the question is not, will you introduce them to me, which is a yes or a no, but would you feel comfortable introducing them to me, which is a yes or a no. But I'm bypassing that request. I'm answering the question comfortable versus would I refer.
Like that's secretly persuading.
Yeah, there's a kind of a little hypnotic trance in there. So, hey, would you feel comfortable passing me the ketchup? I didn't say pass me the ketchup.
Right.
I said, would you feel comfortable passing me the ketchup? And it's different as I feel comfortable passing you the ketchup.
Now, and the part that comes up for me is that, these aren't meant to be, like the word malicious comes up. Like you're not trying to be malicious with this and try to trick people into doing things they don't want to do. What it has more to do with, right, if I'm paraphrasing this for you correctly, is that we're all engineered and wired in a way where we feel like, especially when we're interacting with someone on a business level, that we've got our defense up, typically. And so if someone says, hey, pass me the ketchup, the flinch response is almost to be defensive, like, hey, ask me nicely, or here you go, or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so the act of passing the ketchup is easy, but the message that it's delivered in can sometimes actually create the static where there didn't need to be any in the first place. I might want to pass you the ketchup, but simply because you didn't take the time to articulate the question correctly or in a secretly persuasive pattern, it makes me more resistant to the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to get too lost inside the weeds there. The words feel comfortable speaks to kind of an ambiguous question, like it's a way that I want you to emote when you're in relationship with me versus the behavior of passing me the ketchup, which is not the greatest analogy that there is. But like this is an example. Somebody says, my mom's thinking about moving, or my dad's thinking about, hey, I think my dad needs a handyman. And so your response would be, well, would you feel comfortable telling your dad about me? I didn't say, would you tell your dad about me, which is different. Would you feel comfortable telling your dad about me? Oh, yeah, I'd love to tell your dad about me. And then a persuasion strategy would be, well, you know him better than I do. You know him better than I do. Of course, that's a truism. If you were me, like reverse the roles, what do you think would be the best way to make sure we get into a conversation? Make sure we get into a conversation. Not hey, my dad could use a handyman, you might say, oh, well, give me his name, I'll call him, Well, the more persuasive pattern would be, well, hey, you know your dad a whole lot better than I do. If you were me, what do you think would be the best way to make sure we get into a conversation? And those are the very subtle but very powerful skills that if you don't know that, like right in the moment, like somebody says, hey, my dad's thinking about moving, you go, well, hey, would you give him my card, have him call me? You missed the opportunity completely, and Dad stumbles into another real estate agent or another painter or another chiropractor, another pediatrician, whoever that is.
Yeah, and that guy's walking away going, oh, I got that referral.
Yeah, right.
Because you know that you never leave the scene of an introduction without a clear next step, right? So to get to that, you have to set it up in a way where they're not going to be defensive or want to break from that interaction because they feel weird about it. And then the second thing is to follow through.
Right. And like what we're doing right now is, as you said, we're just kind of reaching into the book right now.
Yeah.
And that's like, learning salsa dancing. Like we're jumping over to let me show you this move right here. Now take the back leg. Now that forward leg goes up here.
Right.
And but there's about 19 other steps in between. So we're just playing with this a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, well said. And I love that thought too, the play with it analogy, because the first book you mentioned, Becoming Referable, is the key component. Like, that's the critical foundational piece. Right. You might say this is sort of the primer or the 101, like, not because people don't want exact ways to ask, but would you agree that how the message, like how I'm perceiving the message, is exactly how the message is going to be received? Mm-hmm. So it's like, if I have a problem with it, then so will they. And that's happening at a very unconscious level. And so a lot of the core competent stuff that you have in Becoming Referable allows you to set the base. It sets the platform, the foundation. All the footings are poured, and now you can build the house up. The house up is, actually getting into the 37 exact ways to ask.
Yeah. And that's the... the kind of the sexy part about it is let me teach you the exact words in NLP, and people love that. And the other track is the personal side, being a referable human being.
Right.
And so they're like train tracks. They're both have to be aligned. They both have to be working together. I know people who are really referable human beings but have no language. I know people who have lots of language but they're unreferable. But when you put the two of them together, and you master a few other strategies, business development strategies, system design, and then you use some of the tools that our company has created that just turnkey it for you, it becomes a pretty automatic business.
And that's the thing that I had said at the top, and I'll repeat it for a fact, because I don't know if you're catching both hours right now with Joe Stumpf. And if you're not, by the way, you got to go back on the website, secretstashradio.com, and check both hours, because there's just been stockpiled with so much good stuff. But that's what makes Joe so unique. That's what separates him from all the other options out there of coaches, because he has the capacity. He's got the bandwidth of being able to meet anybody where they're at, and he's got a system and a process to be able to meet them where they're at, and then get them just to the next step. Just get them a little further along from where it is where they want to be. And coming up, Joe, if you'll allow me, we're going to kind of unravel that a little bit, because one of the things that I want to do right now is kind of start to extrapolate all of those fingers, right? By referral only is such a amazing catch-all, if you will, right? But for someone right now who's listening and they're inspired by your message, they might not be inspired to take action with the concept of a catch-all. So I want to kind of go down a little bit into this labyrinth and pull out some of the things that make By Referral Only so unique. Some of the ways that they can raise their hand and take their first step. Like, you've got the Brovance going on, you've got the Conquer program, you've got the Breakthrough, you've got all these different books and the training modules to be able to get them there. The NLP is incredible. So if you allow me, my friend, we're going to do that right after the break. So quick break, get you caught up on a couple of real important messages from our local sponsors, and we'll be right back. Real Talk Radio San Diego, this is The Secret Stash.